All right. So we have formatted the report. Now it's time to start working on it. What we would do is we have the quantity and rate with us. We need to arrive at the revenue, which is essentially rate or the price per quantity into the number of units sold. So let's start working on it. I'll copy the months over here. Okay. But there's one problem. I see the rates are in different currencies. So you have INR, Euro, and USD. We need to decide on a currency first. What should be our reporting currency? Because we need to report in one currency. Normally, the reporting currency is USD, so we'll go with that. So what we need to do is I'll add a column over here. The shortcut to add the column is I select the entire column, pressing Control and space bar, and then pressing Control Shift and the plus key. This shortcut differs slightly if you're using a desktop or a laptop. If you are using a laptop, the shortcut to add a column is Control Shift and Spacebar. If you are using a desktop, the shortcut is just Control and plus sign. If you are using a laptop, the shortcut is Control Shift and plus sign. Otherwise, it's Control and plus. So I have added a column, and this would be the price in US. Okay, so this is essentially the rate that will be dividing with the exchange rates to arrive at the uniform currency. For converting INR to USD, we are using a rate. Let's use 83 for now, the rate of 83. And for USD, obviously, we don't need to convert it, will be 1 on 1. And to convert Euro to USD, let it be 1.09. I know, I mean, the rates do vary with each passing day, but then for the sake of simplicity, we've used one rate. Okay. What we'll be using here is, I feel we should use the if function. Okay. So that way we can learn about the if function as well. So what essentially we need to do is, we need to make a formula in all of these columns that would take this particular rate and see what currency is it in. Based on the currency, this number should be divided with the respective exchange rates over here. So we'll be using the if function over here, if, and then I press the tab. So if you see at the bottom, it says, it shows the syntax to be used for if function. So if function, the first thing that we need to do is do a logical test. So what is our logical test? Our logical test is to check whether the value in this particular column is INR or USD or Euro. Because basis that my number over here in this particular column would be divided by the number that I choose. Okay, so I first do this logical test that if this particular column is equal to INR. Now pay attention, INR is text. It's not a number. So I have to, when I'm giving this to computer, I have to put this in inverted comma. So if the value in this particular column is INR, comma, then what it should do? Then my syntax is value if true. So if this is true, what should the Excel do? The Excel should go to this value and divide it by 83. So this is my logical test so far. That if Q2 equals to INR, then divide this value by 83. But then we know that we'll be copying this formula all the way to the bottom. So I have to give the computer the other scenario as well. What if this is not the case? Test if false. If this is not INR, say I'm telling computer that go to this column, check if it is INR, then divide this value by 83. But the computer may ask, what if this is not INR? So I give them another condition. I give the computer another condition using another if function. It is called nested if, which means if function within an if. Fairly simple thing, not that complicated. So I'm giving it another condition. If this is not INR, then check if this is euro. Okay. If this function is euro, Then what it should do? I press another comma. Then it should go to this number and divide it by 1.09. This 1.09 is the exchange rate between euro and USD, comma. Okay. So now I've given it two conditions, INR and euro. We only have three conditions. So if it sees that it is not INR and say if it is not euro, then what it should do? It should do nothing but give me the same value. Okay, or maybe divided by one. That is going to be the same. So this is my if formula. What I've done over here is I've given the computer conditions that they should go to this particular column basis on the currency mentioned. They should divide the price by the respective exchange rate. And then I close the brackets depending on the number of opening brackets that I had. So I see I had one and two opening brackets. So let me include two closing brackets and press enter. So you see the Excel has given me the exchange rate in USD. We'll go all the way to the bottom, copy this formula, and I can copy it confidently because I've given all the three conditions. So you see, I can match it. No? Whenever it is USD, it is giving me the exchange rate. Whenever it is INR, it is dividing it by 83. I'm sorry. And then euro, yeah. In these cases where we have euro, it is dividing this number by the exchange rate of 1.09. Maybe I should bring this in proper format. Select this entire column by pressing Control Shift and down arrow key, and then press my shortcut of Control Shift 1. And then, maybe I don't need the decimal places, so I reduce it to Alt X line. Don't need them now. Just delete them. So yeah, now that I have the prices in standard USD fixed, let me start by arriving at the revenue. Revenue would be price into multiplied by the respective unit sold in a month. Okay. So this is how it is. The one thing that I need to do is I want to copy this all the way to the bottom and also all the way to the right. So now we'll be seeing something called as referencing. I hope you already know. If not, please pay attention. So what I need is I want this formula to be copied for other months as well. But then the Excel works, the way Excel works is since it's a formula and I've given the referencing, the value here depends on the value in these two columns, column U and column E. So as soon as I copy this formula, my referencing columns also move. So now if I press an F2 to see which two columns are driving this, I'll see that the column to the right of column U, which is V, and to the right of column E, which is F, are now driving. I don't want that, okay? Because I want this to be static, I want the price to be static, while I want the units to move along the one. What I'll do is I'll just put a dollar sign in front of the column because I want this column to be static. I don't want both the columns and rows. I just want the column to be static. If I press a dollar sign against it, and then I can copy it all the way to the right. Uh, just like we did with Control D, D with D as in duplicate, I have another shortcut called Control R. So this I can copy the values all the way to the right. Okay. And I do this, select it this way, press Control D. My formulas are copied. I bring these numbers in proper format. So now I have the revenue ready. Maybe I should also add the full year 2023, which would be a sum total. Now I want a sum total of all the months over here. The formula obviously can be sum, which is I can just do and write sum and then select it, or I can press the shortcut. The shortcut for adding the total is Alt equal. As soon as you press Alt equal to, the Excel would automatically select all the continuously sequentially numbers that I have. I don't need the price in it. I just need the revenue. In particular ones, I select it and then press enter. Now I have the revenue. Let me put this in a bold so that I can see clearly that this is fully a number. I'm also changing the format of my fully a number. I did it by paste special and format. Otherwise, I could have used the paintbrush, but then that would not be a shortcut. Okay. So now that I have it fixed, let me do a total over here also. What I'll do is I'll not use total. I'll use something known as subtotal. So what subtotal does is it 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 would give me essentially the total only, but the subtotal functions changes the value. It adjusts the value basis on the filter you made. I'll show you. It would be easier to understand that. But let's just first understand the syntax of subtotal. So as soon as I press subtotal, I see that it gives me different options. So I using the subtotal, I cannot I mean I cannot only do the sum amount. I have the options of all these other preferences as well. I can do average, count, min, max, etc. Since I need to do sum for now, I can either manually select 9 or just press 9, then add a comma and then select the range. So now I copy it all the way, then just the column width over here. My values are fixed. Uh, so this way this is done. What I was telling was subtotal, the way it works. Say if I want to, if you look at the December number, let me add the filters first. So I'm adding the filter using the shortcut Alt DFF, okay, selecting everything and then using the shortcuts Alt DFF. Now you see the December total revenue is 1.6 billion US dollars. Okay. Now, if I want to see what's my revenue only for India, filtered on India, and I see this value has now been changed. So that's the use of subtotal. It changes the value basis the filter that I have done. Okay. If I show it all using Alt DFS pressed sequentially, it will again come back to the total revenue number. What I can also do is I can add a free span over here so that whenever I need to see, let me, yes, yeah, I can add a free span over here so that as I work towards right, I have some visibility of my columns in left. So the portion that I want to freeze, I press a cursor just above that, go to the view despan option and do a free span over here. So you see with that, if I go all the way to the right, I can still see the columns, the necessary columns in left. And the same applies when I go at the bottom. Okay. Uh, the last thing that I would do is I have too many columns over here. Maybe just group these because I don't think I'll be needing them. And or maybe if I need them, I can just ungroup and see. So the way the grouping is done is I select all of this and then press Alt D G G. I repeat for you, it's Alt D G G. G as in Georgia. This way, I have grouped these because I don't necessarily need uh, the quantity sold now. I already have my revenue. Okay. Maybe I don't need the currency and the price in different currencies as well. So let me remove this one over here through the shortcut Alt DGU and yeah, Alt DGU. So this grouping is done. Now I have the numbers over here, my sales revenue number. Okay. So this largely what we've done is using some logical functions, some sum and subtotal functions, and few other functions. We have brought this data in the format that we like. Now we can start working on it. We can start the data consolidation, data analysis part. All right. So let's go to that section.